What's up, primates? Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to my channel. I'm Shane the Skeptic, and as always, I thank you for tuning into my channel to watch my content. And for everybody here, whether you be atheist, theist, religious, or secular, I'm glad that you're here. I do want to reiterate that we might have potentially a couple of Muslim viewers, either live or in the future, who maybe this is your first time tuning into my channel. I want to get something clear kind of off the get-go. I'm not a person who is Islamophobic. I'm not a person who is hateful toward any religious group. I don't hate people for being members of a religious group. The problems that I have with religion really tend to be that in my view, religion is divisive. And this is one of the reasons why I criticize it so much, because I really just wish that people and this is so my motives are wrong. Motives are all good, but I was interested in these philosophical conversations. So I want to start off this stream doing something. I see check your audio. Okay, is it for everybody tuned in? And I thank you for that. Am I coming off quiet a little bit? Because it doesn't say I'm muted or anything. If somebody else in the chat could just let me know if you still think I need to turn it up or not. It's always when I do something like this that I don't see any comments come up. Should be better now. Okay, cool. Oh, the mic was cracking out. Okay, it should be better. Yeah, I don't know what's been up with my microphone lately, but it has been really annoying. Anyway, so I should have done this at the beginning of the last stream, but I want to pull up a quick Wikipedia page regarding New Atheism, because, okay, if you're anything like me, I'm going to tell you this. For over 2 years, I was a person who, whenever I heard the term New Atheism or New Atheists, it irked me. I was like, there's nothing new about not being convinced of your claim. Not believing in your claim existed since before your claim existed. But I think it needs to be established that New Atheism is a recognized sort of movement that exists. Academics will refer to it. You'll see it regularly. And, you know, if you're anything like I was for a long time, and you just immediately you hear that word and you just get aggravated because you think, you know, there's no such thing. You're wrong. And we're going to talk about that. And this is how we move forward, because sometimes we just find out that we're wrong about shit. You know what I mean? And what else can you do? So, basically, and I understand the whole, like, you know, the fact that something's on Wikipedia in and of itself doesn't make it true. This just gives a great description of what it is, and that's why I'm going over it. But of course, you could do whatever you got to do. Take it upon yourself, fact check, be a skeptic, apply your methodological skepticism to it. Like, it's a recognized movement that if you refer to with these terms, people will know what you're talking about. If you understand the way language works, then that is sufficient. Anyway, the term New Atheism was coined by the journalist Gary Wolfe in 2006 to describe the positions promoted by some atheists of the 21st century. New Atheism advocates the view that superstition, religion, and irrationalism should not simply be tolerated. Instead, they should be countered, criticized, and challenged by rational argument, especially when they exert undue influence, such as in government, education, and politics. Major figures include Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and Daniel Dennett, collectively known as the Four Horsemen, and Ayaan Hirsi Ali, known as the +1 Horsewoman. New Atheism often criticized what writers such as Dawkins described as the indoctrination of children and the social harms caused by perpetuating ideologies founded on belief in the supernatural. At the time, critics of the movement deployed pejorative terms such as militant atheism and fundamentalist atheism to malign vocal atheists. I'm going to go down a little bit here. Okay, the history of it, also important. So, in 2004, the publication of The End of Faith, Religion, Terror, and the Future of Reason by Sam Harris, a bestseller in the United States, was joined over the next couple of years by a series of popular bestsellers by atheist authors. Harris was motivated by the events of September 11th, which he laid directly at the feet of Islam, while also directly criticizing Christianity and Judaism. 2 years later, Harris followed up with Letter to a Christian Nation, which was also a severe criticism of Christianity. Also in 2006, following his television documentary series, The Root of All Evil, Richard Dawkins published The God Delusion, which was on the New York Times bestseller list for 51 weeks. And then I think that's everything that's like really important. I mean, you could obviously read the rest of it for yourself, but we've already gone over the prominent figures, what are referred to as the four horsemen of New Atheism. And so, yeah, just please, if you're somebody who always says there's no such thing as New Atheism, just please be open-minded to just, once again, you've been wrong before. You found out you were wrong when presented with evidence. You were just presented with evidence. Like, you know, don't be former me, be present me. I'm just kidding, don't be me. But you get what I mean. All right, now, I hope I wasn't reading. This microphone, man. It's not the microphone, it's the cord, but still, I should have got another one, so that's on me. Hold on. Does New Atheism bear the burden of proof that no gods exist? No, because New Atheism doesn't necessarily have to mean strong atheism. So somebody who is a weak atheist or an agnostic atheist could still adhere to, at least as we've seen it defined so far, the New Atheist movement. And maybe for some of the people who cannot accept this, is I can't figure out. There is this thing that Muslims and Christians have where they just cannot accept that lacktheism is atheism. Like, I'm not denying that belief in no gods is also atheism. I mean, I believe there are no gods. It's just that, like, to not believe in a god is to be an atheist. And it is insane to me how controversial that is. Even amongst atheists, it's like someone doesn't believe in a god. That's an atheist. A as a prefix to a word means the absence of. Theism is belief in a god. Combine that, absence of a belief in God. I don't get it. So I'm hoping if you're a Muslim or a Christian earlier and you were listening to me talk about myself with the term New Atheism, maybe you're going through the same thing with the word atheism with respect to agnostic atheism or lacktheism. Anyway, if you were here last time, you would have seen some of the article that I shared, and I could later post another link to my my Discord where you could read the PDF for yourself, so you don't have to listen to my fucking motor mouth read the whole goddamn thing. But for those of you who are here, thanks for being here. I don't know why. I don't get it, but you're here. Okay, the paper, it's called Moralities, a Contemporary Discourse Between New Atheism and Islam. It covers 4 authors. I went with, first the beginning of the article and then Sam Harris. Now I'm going to read the section regarding the next 2 or 3 authors. Probably going to do all 3. So I'm going to go from the right side. You'll see the Richard Dawkins section. I'll be reading down here. Daniel Dennett begins there and then, goes up to here. Yeah, I'll do all 3. Then Christopher Hitchens. And then, of course, I'll end it there. And in the next stream, this will be a 3-part series. In the next stream, I will be reviewing the Muslim scholarly response. Keep in mind, there is some commentary throughout the paper that I'll be giving my commentary on. But, yeah, this is what's relevant now. So let's see. Okay, that was all right. Richard Dawkins. I'm gonna look at my chat real quick. Just interact with you guys quickly. Okay. Anyway. Not what I meant to click on. My bad. My fault, everybody. Okay, I'm here. Now let's get into this. Richard Dawkins is an evolutionary biologist and atheist author. He also prefers science over religious guidance. He argues that we do not need God in order to be good or evil. In support of his argument, Dawkins quotes Einstein, who said, "If people are only good because they fear punishment and hope for reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed." That is the case for some people. Dawkins is in favor that humans can set moral standards and values without the interference of God. Dawkins draws that some philosophers, notably Kant, has strived to deduce absolute morals from sources other than religious ones. Kant proposes a model of morality that is to base morality on duty for duty's sake, rather than for God's. According to Dawkins, it is tough to derive comprehensive moral values from the Bible. In this way, Dawkins attacks on the Bible for their inconsistency to draw morality. Dawkins presents some of his own commandments. Enjoy your own sex life, so long as it damages nobody else, and leave others to enjoy theirs in private, whatever their inclinations, which are none of your business. Do not discriminate or oppress on the basis of sex, race, or as far as possible, species. Do not indoctrinate your children. Teach them how to think for themselves, how to evaluate evidence, and how to disagree with you. Christianity, just as much as Islam, teaches children that unquestioned faith is a virtue. Value the future on a time scale longer than your own. I would say I think I agree with it all except species. I discriminate on the basis of species. Like if you're a rat, I'm not letting you in my apartment. But he says as far as possible. Nah, I have an abnormal hatred for mosquitoes. I'm saying we should just eradicate those things, right? Like, yeah. So that's like I am definitely physically and intellectually and morally superior to mosquitoes. I will not be told otherwise. So yep, I'm speciesist. Fuck mosquitoes. Seriously. If anybody wants to say that mosquitoes are equal to us, then you know what? That's your own prerogative. But if you're not, if you disagree with that, you're speciesist. So yeah. If you agree that we're better, that we're superior to mosquitoes, and if I rant about how much I hate those things, I'm never gonna shut up. You know, mosquitoes are the only living organism on Earth that kills more people than people do. They're the only thing that outdoes us at killing us. Anyway, Dawkins explains that in the absence of divine instruction, humans should take guidance from science. He argues that if the demise of God will leave a gap, different people will fill it in different ways. My way includes a good dose of science, the honest and systematic endeavor to find out the truth about the real world. Atheists are striving to fill every gap of knowledge with science without caring its limits and boundaries. According to Dawkins, an atheist can spend a happy, balanced, intellectually fulfilled, and moral life. Religious people consider the life temporary and have the concept to answer all deeds in front of God. This fear of accountability stops them from wrongdoing and killing. Moreover, they have hope for reward and justice in the last life. Dawkins is against the religious learning of children. In fact, children learn overwhelming part of morality from religion. Zuckerman argues that it is simply impossible for people to be moral without religion or God. And I hope within the scholars, this is one of the actual arguments that gets addressed because, you know, I want to get back to people about this part right here because I think this is actually very important. The idea, like, the idea that if someone's an atheist or they're not religious, that they can't be a moral person. I want to ask you about this. When I go and I do charity work and I feed homeless people, which lately I've actually been doing a lot more for homeless people than just going out with the group Austin Atheists Helping Homeless, which I should start doing fundraisers for on this channel. I'll get on that in the future. But I also, like, I gave a guy a whole Thanksgiving meal yesterday. I do stuff for homeless people, give them clothes, all of it, right? I don't have a religion. I don't have a God. So if you want to say that atheists can't be good without God, you have to maintain that everything that I'm doing out there is not good. You have to maintain that it is not good for me to be feeding homeless people, right? And uh, you know what? If that's your view, maybe we just don't mean the same thing when we use the word morality. And if that's the case, then I don't really care what you mean when you say it. Um, but I keep pulling up the wrong. I keep switching tabs instead of the other thing I have open. But let's see. Let's. I also wanted to review this part. Okay. Religious people consider the life temporary and have the concept to answer all deeds in front of God. And then this goes right into what Richard Dawkins talks about. Watch this. This fear of accountability stops them from wrongdoing and killing. Moreover, they have hope for reward and justice in the last life. Okay, so some people, I would argue that potentially they're not really moral if this is the case for them. Some people, maybe the only thing to stop them from wrongdoing is fear of accountability. Some people simply don't value morality. Um, However, if you want to say that in order to be moral, people need fear of accountability, fear of accountability does not depend on belief in God or belief in an afterlife, because accountability can be held within this lifetime. So if you want to make the argument of well, you shouldn't kill somebody because you could be held accountable for it, you actually are able to make that argument absent of a belief in hell. There still is accountability, right? Now as far as reward and justice, um, well, that one's a little bit more like tough, because ultimately sometimes when you do good deeds or you if you as long as you're a good person, there are a lot of benefits to doing that because that makes you more sociable, people like you more. You had somebody else's back, they now have yours. If they couldn't pay their rent one day and you fronted them a little bit, like $100 or so, maybe they'd be willing to do the same for you. So like there is that kind of thing. Ultimately at the end of the day though, like I don't think that um you get rewarded for your good deeds. But I don't think you should have to. I mean, doing good deeds is like its own reward because as long as you're not a sociopath, right? Um, or a narcissist, and maybe even a narcissist, I don't know. But as long as you're not a sociopath, at least if you go out and you lessen the burden of suffering people, and because of you, people are in a better place than they were. People have food, people have clothes. That makes you feel good. There's a feel good feeling that you have from doing that. Uh, that that's the reward. You shouldn't need anything beyond that, I think. Um, so yeah, now I'm going to move on to Daniel Dennett. Daniel Dennett, similar to Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris, argues that it is not necessary for humans to take moral guidance from religion. He expresses that even atheists and agnostics can have sacred values, values that are simply not up for reevaluation at all. According to Sam Harris, our angels should be love, honesty, and reason. On similar lines, Dennett describes his sacred values to truth, love, justice, democracy, and life. Dennett argues that in the modern world, religion is taking its last breaths and it is now just playing a ceremonial role instead of guiding humanity towards politics, science, and ethics. He adds that religion has negative outcomes like oppression, fanaticism, cruelty, and ignorance. He traces the historical development of religions and argues that with the growth of human culture, the regional or ethnic religious customs converted into organized religions. The rational arguments of earlier intellectuals also became parts of these religions, and through this approach, religions became more domesticated and got acceptance in the different societies of the world. Dennett also understands the importance of religious faiths for the moral progress of humanity. He quotes Voltaire, who says that if God did not exist, it would be necessary for us to invent him. Dennett contends in the case, uh, Dennett contends in case the religion is good for people, but evidence to date is mixed. It seems beneficial for health, but there may be other ways to deliver these benefits. And we'll readdress that part later. He argues that it is widely understood that religion is the bulwark of moral values. The idea of heaven is considered to motivate people for the good and stops from evil are not true. He argues that the idea that religious authority grounds our moral judgments are useless and genuine euseminical exploration. That's just a word in English that I don't know. I don't know that word. Ecumenical. Man, okay, I don't know. I new word to me. I'm just gonna tell you. And the presumed relation between spirituality and moral goodness is an illusion. Then it also denigrates the role of religion in order to identify moral values. He suggests scientific inquiry of every aspect of religion. Islam promotes love, peace, justice, and truth, which are also ideals for Dennett. It seems that Dennett has not studied the religions in depth. I call that the Kanye apologetic. I'll get to that. He just uses the arguments of other atheists to denigrate the role of religion from every sphere of life. To achieve any target, motivation plays a vital role. However, Dennett also discourages God's motivation for people to get to heaven. This is illogical and okay, fucking naturally, when I have more viewers than I ever do when I go live, tech issues happen. It's always when my view count gets high that tech issues like that come up. Okay, so my computer just decided to reset in the middle of this stream. Okay, hold on. I had this shit on my phone, so I was just hearing myself echo. Yeah, that is utterly fucking annoying, but I'm back. So let me pull up my other tab, and yeah, you guys did not leave immediately. So thanks for being here. And the cool thing is, in the future, I could just cut that whole part out, right? Because I could just go to YouTube Studio and edit. But I will definitely get lazy and forget to do that. So, oh, cool. Got back to the paper. I'm back. Oh, thank you. I just might for that reason. Did smoke a little bit before this. Okay. Let me go see. Present, share screen. I know how to do this. I know how to do tech stuff. Hey, everyone shit on Windows right now. Hey, Windows, fuck you for that. My computer's fully charged. I didn't schedule a reset. This shit just arbitrarily reset on me, dude. Like, man. Okay. Let me try to find out where I was. Okay. All right. I'd finished reading it. So I mentioned that I call this the Kanye apologetic. And I'm going to tell you why I call this the Kanye apologetic. Now, to be clear, I'm somebody who has fucking despised Kanye West um, since before it was cool. I'm going to say that much, okay? Never liked Kanye. Now, I've always noticed this since I was a teenager. Whenever I say that Kanye West sucks, everybody's response is, "Oh, you just haven't really heard his music. You just haven't listened to it yet." It's like, and presuppositional apologists make this too. You haven't read Greg Bonson. You haven't read Cornelius Van Til. Like, it's not possible. It's not like comprehensible to them that somebody can read it and go, "Yeah, this doesn't work." So, yeah, that's why I call that. So, get back to the words. So Islam promotes love, peace, justice, and truth, which are also ideals for Dennett. Now, I'm not going to say there are no Quran verses that promote love or peace, but let's because we want to be objective here, where we are talking about Islam, and when you think about the fact that in the Muslim community, people greet each other by saying salam, which is peace, or assalamu alaikum, which is peace be upon you. So, let's try to take that kind of idea into account. Um, but I mean, would we say that Islam merely promotes peace? Obviously not. Look at the way that it advocates for treating non-believers of the faith. Look at the way that it describes it. It says it promotes love. Again, I'm not going to deny that love is something that gets promoted at any point in the Quran or within Islam, but um, as a non-believer reading the Quran, I'm seeing a lot of hatred being preached about me when I read the Quran. I'm seeing a lot of untrue negative things being said about myself when I read the Quran. Um, I thought that was worth noting. One second. All right. Now we're gonna get to the GOAT, Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens was honestly one of the people that mainly motivated me to start my atheist activism a long time ago. Yeah, it's more motivated by people that I know becoming Christians, but like not mellow Christians, like insane. Like seeing somebody change from being a good person to being like an extremist was like just really life changing. But on the as far as the inspiration side goes, yeah, Christopher Hitchens and Stephen Fry, they were the first ones. All right, so Christopher Hitchens also disagrees with the necessity of religious moral guidance for humanity. He argues that we believe with certainty that an ethical life can be lived without religion. He rhetorically states, religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of heartless world, the heart of the heartless world, just as the spirit of a spiritless situation. It is the opium of the people. According to him, the abolition of religion is the only way for the real happiness of people. He does not agree with the religious teachings of the Quran and the Bible, um, and argues, I simply laugh when I read the Quran with its endless prohibitions on sex and its corrupt promise of infinite debauchery in the life to come. It is it is like seeing through the let's pretend of a child, but without the indulgence that comes from watching the innocent at play. Christianity is too repressed to offer sex in paradise. Okay. In Islamic perspective, Quran prohibits homosexuality and adultery. Okay, so see right here where Islam promotes homophobia. There's nothing wrong with being homosexual. And this is I'm glad that a Muslim scholar would be the one to say this themselves, because some people who try to take a more liberal approach to Islam would try to say otherwise. And adultery, I would agree, is unethical or immoral. So that I'm not going to be critical of. But I mean, right here, this is the kind of difference that's like, yeah, when you think that somebody is, you know, wrong for existing like that, yeah, this is the kind of difference that we have a hard time working past, personally. Um, and I don't know, it's a hard thing to overcome because I talked about, like, I don't want to be divided between people, and one thing I dislike about religion is that it divides us. But one of your religious views is just to be bigoted or hateful toward people on the basis of them being gay. That's like, I mean, in his own paper, he demonstrated a reason why Islam is harmful. Islamic morality, anyway. Anyway, so I'm gonna move on. These both both these sins have multiple negative effects in any society. It allows a male to even have 4 wives at a time. Um, Hello? Islam allows for polygamy, but yeah, it's literally in Islam a man could have multiple wives, but a woman can't have multiple wives. So there's another version of sexism for you in it. Um, but to see a Muslim scholar criticize this on the basis of, oh, it allows a male to have, I mean, I don't know, does Islam limit you to 3? And he's saying, "Oh, you're so bad, you believe you could have one more than we believe you could have?" I mean, that's just a bizarre thing for me. Maybe I'm unfamiliar with, and if you're Muslim, leave a comment letting me know. Are there different theologies or denominations in Islam that allow for polygamy, and then some only advocate for monogamy? Um, because maybe that's a difference between different Islamic groups that disagree with each other, right? And maybe this is something that I need to know. For all I know, that could be the reason behind a war or something, right? But that I'm unfamiliar with. Islam motivates for doing marriage and spending good life with spouse. It also offers a reward to those who obey God, that is logical and rational. Hitchens proclaims that the threat of great monotheism religions teach people to think objectively of themselves as miserable and guilty sinners prostrate before an angry, jealous God. Excuse me. He states that people say that religion makes people humble and civilized, but in reality, the worse the offender, the more devout he turns out to be. Hitchens argues that an atheist can live an ethical life, but he does not talk about producing moral principles. He wants to leave religious moralities, but does not offer its replacement. He just uses the argument of other new atheists and argues to end religions from public life. If humans replace religious moralities, there would be anarchy in societies because everyone will have its own moral preference. I mean, I responded to that previously. So practically, the arguments of Hitchens are not feasible. New atheists highlight the few cases in which terrorists use the name of religion in order to fulfill their own purposes and ambitions. Oh, come on, my guy. The few cases in which terrorists use the name of religion in order to fulfill their own purposes and ambitions. And then here's the other thing, in order to fulfill their own purposes and ambitions. This is a rejection that people who are terrorists are following what they understand to be the desires of God. And I understand that if you are a Muslim and you're against terrorism, that you disagree that what they're doing is what God wants. But you must understand that given your religious values, your religion, and their understanding of it, they believe this is the will of Allah and they wish to fulfill that will. So it's not their own purposes and ambitions. I'm not going to say it never can be, like a person could have their own purpose or ambition and then use religion as sort of a mask for it. But just because there could potentially or even likely be cases where that's happened is not incompatible with the fact that people can honestly, genuinely try to understand what it is that the Quran's telling them to do and think that this is what they're supposed to do given the circumstances of the world. Anyway, um, they ignore the billions of peaceful religious people who become humble and good for society because of God and religion. As a whole, new atheists argue that objective and subjective moral values are possible with the help of science. Religions provide deficient moral values, and religious moralities should be replaced with scientific moralities. Mostly, new atheists determine moral responsibility by referring to facts about natural moral intuitions or human biology, but without sufficiently defending this or tracing the possibilities of non naturalistic secular moralities. Because of their naturalistic assumptions, new atheists' moral theories tend to be weak. Main promoters of new atheism seem to be unwilling to accept that moral philosophy can play a role in expanding secular moral precepts because philosophy fails to meet up with their tough standards of scientific validity. This stance is fallacious not only because it has led new atheists to defend weak moral theories, but also because the methods of inquiry used in moral philosophy make it distinct from religion for many of the same reasons that the new atheists think that science is distinct from religion. I'm going to go back to the chat. Okay, I thought I was reading the chat and something was addressed to somebody else, and I thought it was addressed to me. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go back a little bit here, read another thing because I'm gonna save the rest of the paper for the next stream. Um, um, where was the part I wanted to read? I don't know. I actually don't see the part I wanted to refer to, so I'm gonna end that part, and I'm gonna say, let's see here. I'm missing something. Poor men. What about the poor women? I missed. All right. So women have a prescriptive role in society. According to Islam, yeah, I've actually seen. Well, Muslims will argue about this. So you could actually find Muslims debating over whether or not women should be going to school. Right? There are a lot of people, and then this is the other thing: is one of the biggest arguments that these Islamic scholars have against atheistic morality is, oh well, if you don't have a God then if two people have a disagreement, there's no way to reconcile the disagreement. And it's kind of like, well, evidently that is the case with both of these moralities, new atheism or Islam. Either way, it is going to be the case that you have instances where people disagree, and then upon disagreeing, they look to what they expect to be the thing to reconcile their differences, and they maintain disagreement whatsoever. So yeah, that's an argument. So again, you have people who, so let's say you're a Muslim, right? And you are in support of women getting education and having careers. That's awesome. Understand this. Your Muslim brothers who are against women having these rights are against these rights on the basis of Islam, are against these rights of what they understand to be what the Quran actually advocates for. And I agree with them. I think that is what it advocates for. But let's say for the sake of the argument, the Quran doesn't argue that women shouldn't get educated. For the sake of argument, it doesn't say that women just have a prescriptive role. Okay. Evidently, your God, Allah, is allowing people to read this and arrive at that understanding and doesn't care about society or them enough to correct them, doesn't care about the flourishing of women enough to correct the oppressors of women who do so on the basis of their own misunderstanding of his allegedly uncorruptible word. So, that is where I sit on that. And again, in the future, we are going to be covering the rest of that paper. I'm going to get my Discord right now so I could find the paper that I've been reading here is in my Discord server. So I'm getting a link to that right now. Let's see. Okay. And I'm also going to go in my Discord right now just to do the audio, just to do voice chat. So if anybody wants to hang out, I'm going to be there. Again, for all of the people who have tuned in, whether you be theist, atheist, religious, or secular, assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for tuning into my channel. I wish nothing but health and happiness for you and everyone that you love. And yeah, I hope everybody stays safe.